Hello everyone, good evening, and welcome back to my channel. This is another live drawing session, but it's a little bit different. Today, as you can see, I am using my iPad. I'm actually traveling for business, and I'm back in my hotel room, and I thought it would be it'd be quite fun to try something different. So obviously can't. I didn't take my watercolor sets with me. I didn't take any paper with me. I've got a tiny little sketchbook and a pencil. So for this stream, I actually will be using my iPad and Procreate. So we're going to be doing a figure drawing live stream focusing on gesture, and then we'll render the full figure in real time as well. So again, it's a little bit different than what I normally am doing, and I hope you like it. Slightly different format. As always, you can pop questions in the chat, and I'll be checking in once in a while to see how that's going. So for my references, I am going to be using the line of action, and that's quite a good resource. And what I thought I'd do is I'll do a 30-minute class setting where you can see the breakdown. So 10 poses 30 seconds, 5 poses 1 minute, 2 poses 5 minutes, and then one longer pose of 10 minutes. Once that's done, let's see how we get on. But I was hoping to also do one long pose, so maybe another 30 minutes. But again, let's see how we get on. So for my brushes, I actually created my own brushes that I enjoy using. Mainly those are my pencil and charcoal brushes, as well as my ballpoint pen brushes. I think for this one, for my gestural drawings, I'm going to use some of my charcoal brushes, and let's see, maybe I'll get to use a ballpoint pen as well. But for now, I'll just use my charcoal pencils. I've put a link in the description of this stream where you can download these brushes from my Ko-fi page. Again, you don't need to use it. There's anything special. Any old pencil and brush will do. This is just for my own preference. I've created a couple of brushes that I enjoy using. Alright, so let's get set up. So what I've done is I've created, because Procreate has these interesting pages, I wonder if you're able to hear my voice. Hopefully it works. I might try and see if it's working. Bear with me. If you're able to hear my voice, good, it's working. Alright, anyway, sorry for the interruption. So Procreate has these layers. So every drawing is organized into layers, and in the first layer, what I like to do is just I like to add a little bit of texture to it so that the actual drawing looks like like it's been done on paper. I then create new layers, and these are the ones that I'm going to be using to draw. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start the class. So 30 seconds, we don't have too much time. So I always start with the head, as you know. Then I put in the spine. I try to look for angles in various masses. So this is the pelvis, and then I draw the weight-bearing limb and followed by the next one. Oh wow. Yes, I forgot that this is these are all the drawing, all the poses, so not necessarily classical poses. This is quite a tricky one actually. So what I like about drawing on my iPad actually is that it's not very. I can experiment. I can do things that I wouldn't otherwise do, and I actually end up drawing considerably more on my iPad. So I've been drawing in the evenings, on the sofa, on the train, on the plane, whatever it might be. It's quite a nice, versatile way um, of putting marks down on. And I think the feel of it is great. Initially I thought that it would be a little bit unusual for me coming from a classical drawing setup or traditional drawing setup, but I haven't had much. I didn't notice much difference. I think the Apple Pencil is such a lovely tool that it's hasn't made much difference to me in terms of drawing. Right, so these are quite quick, so that's why I'm losing my train of thought a little bit as I draw through these. These are just to warm up. I don't expect these to be perfect. They're just to get myself moving on and get my eye trained up to do the human finger. I think I need, generally speaking, I would need about 10-15 minutes to warm up. Otherwise, it just doesn't look. My drawings don't look as fluid as I would like them to be, as you can see. So with these 30-second poses, I can't do much other than capturing the gesture itself. So there are no details here. These are basically just stick figures, and these serve as a way for my brain to engage with the human figure and start thinking about a bit more about it. I did buy a screen protector. I think it's called Paperlike. I'm not a big fan of it. I think I prefer drawing on glass actually. No, how irrespective how weird that sounds. Mainly because it scratches really easily, and I don't apply the pressure at all to my pencil. So I've literally installed it, and it's already scratched all over the place. I don't like that at all. It does, it makes it feels nice in terms of feeling like an actual piece of paper that I'm drawing on, but the quality, I just don't know. I was hoping that it wouldn't scratch as easily as it did. I can see this. I mean, when the screen is black, I can see the scratches most clearly. When I'm drawing, I can't actually see the scratches, so maybe that's okay. probably should have said in the beginning that because this is a figure drawing session, there will always be nudity. I actually don't know what YouTube's policy on this is, but I find it, I mean, it's completely pointless to draw a clothed figure. It's like, if you don't understand what the volume of the body is doing underneath the clothes, you won't be able to draw a realistic clothed figure. It'll always look a little bit off. So I think I might be getting enough time now to start adding value to my drawings. Now when we get to longer poses, I'm going to start explaining things a little bit more as I go through my process. So these are just gestural sketches. This is a minute long, so I think I should be able to start adding value and maybe talk through these a little bit in a little bit more detail. I'll do it on the next one, if that's okay. I like this pose. This is quite a cool one, very classical pose. So, as you may have noticed, I always start with the head, get the angle of the head down, then I pop in the neck, the shoulders, and then the back, the spine. I then draw the weight-bearing leg, and then a non-weight-bearing leg, passive leg. This is lifted directly from Bridgman's figure drawing book. You can, I think in the first few pages he gives the steps of drawing the figure. Now, I would say 90% of the time I follow those steps. There are obviously exceptions. Usually those exceptions happen when I have a foreshortened pose where my focus is obviously very different. So here we go, weight-bearing leg and a non-weight-bearing leg. Right, so this is a 5-minute one. Okay. Let's give it a go then. So in 5 minutes we should be doing fairly reasonable rendering of this pose. So in this pose I'm thinking about what is the most important thing, and I think the most important thing is this action of forward momentum that this javelin thrower is in the middle of. And this action is going to be conveyed through the contortions of his body as he is throwing this javelin. So you can see there I've corrected the size of my head. It was a little bit too big. I think it might still be a bit too big. So I'm roughly blocking in the part of his body that are in shadow, and hopefully this will allow me to clarify some of these anatomical features better, but also help me a little bit with proportions. I don't think his proportions are correct at the minute. Yeah, the leg is completely too short. I've got 23 seconds left. Bye bye, leg. It's been nice knowing you. And the leg is about here. Yeah. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work at all. That last sketch did not work at all. Let's see if this can be a little bit better. So I've meant to be at my live drawing class today, and sadly, because I'm away, I can't attend it, so this is the next best thing, I guess. So here I'm now beginning to think about form. And this is a nice reference because I think the shadows are pretty good, and also it allows me to see the form clearer. Now by form I mean this 3D aspect of the human figure. So it's the understanding of what's coming towards us. How does the body bend? How do the muscles wrap around the bones, etc. In my landscape paintings I also talk about form quite a bit, and that's the form of the landscape. So form is everywhere in art, and it's the magic trick. It's the thing that fools our brain, that a two-dimensional drawing represents three-dimensional reality. So when I shade, I also try and shade with the form or along the form lines. So my shading marks, they tend not to follow the same direction across the drawing. They tend to follow the direction of the form. Okay. So we've got two more 10-minute pieces. So, I think anatomy is always an interesting question, is how much anatomy does one need to know to be able to draw the human figure, and does knowing anatomy actually help drawing? Now, unfortunately, I started drawing when I already learned the anatomy. So I knew anatomy well before I learned how to draw. Learned, I mean, it implies that I know how to draw, but obviously it's a process for me, so I'm still going through it. But I do know anatomy from my second career, I guess, or my first career. And has it made it easier for me? I think, I don't think so. Well, maybe it is. Maybe it did. I think what it does make it easy, or it simplifies, is the it when I draw, I draw individual structures. So here I'm working on the femur, on the thigh muscle. Here's, we've got my tibia. So I can, in my mind, I can separate the components which I'm drawing, even though on the photograph or in real life they all look like they're part, they all sort of join up together. When I draw them, I think about them as separate entities, and that enables me to study them better. But I don't think that I'm a better I'm better drawing these things just because I know their names. I only get better at drawing anatomy by drawing anatomy, not by studying the names. Studying the names is, once you know how to draw, study the names by all means. It's good to know what it is that you're drawing, but I don't think it helps me actually draw things better. The only thing that helps me draw things better is drawing as much as I possibly can. I think there are, but does knowing anatomy help draw from imagination? Maybe I am absolutely awful at drawing from imagination, so I wouldn't know. I do want to learn how to draw from imagination, but again, I feel like the first thing I need to do to draw from imagination is to actually memorize quite a lot of things. I think that's called a visual memory? No. You know what I mean, like an arsenal of stuff that I can, like a memory bank of some sort of various drawings or various real life subjects that I can then go and draw. That's pretty cool. I can zoom in quite far in there. Means I can be a little bit more precise with my rendering. So that's cool. Just indicating the form and also using the shadow to indicate the form. It's got a lot of twisting going on in this sketch. Alright, we can actually got 3 minutes, so we can actually add some highlights into this, which is cool. What I might do is I'll just change the background color to be a little bit more on the gray side. Like that. That way I can actually see the highlights. Oopsies. So I think this is quite a neat trick where essentially we're using the background of the paper as the midtone color, and then everything else I've got my lights and then I've got my darks, and essentially that gives me a 3 value range that I can work with and make it look a little bit more interesting. Cool. Let's add some final touches on the hair, maybe. Just rendering it a little bit more. And that's done. Well, as always, I think this last drawing is probably the best one. Let's make sure this guy has a ground to stand on. Let's see, these are all the drawings from today, which looks kind of cool. I think it looks kind of cool. Actually, I wonder if I can, if I just change the opacity of these layers, so maybe like 76%. It's looking pretty artsy. All of these all of these things. There we are. So here you go. Let's go to my final layer. I'll just make things a little bit more interesting here. There we go. Let's see, so how let's pop this from the landscapes, move it back into fingers. There we go. So these are all my figures that I've drawn. This is quite a cool one, I think. This is the one I did on Saturday, I think. So again, a similar principle. I'm using the back of the paper. The color of the paper is the midground, and then I'm adding some highlights to make things a little bit more interesting. This is actually a live drawing I did in watercolors, and then I took a picture and I imported it into Procreate, and that means I can play around with different elements that I otherwise couldn't do. But yeah, there's some nice pictures, there's some bad pictures. Overall, I think it looks okay. So good. I hope you enjoyed this little session. I don't think I'm going to do a longer pose. I might leave that for tomorrow or another day. And yeah, I hope you all have a